Roy Jane Schilling.
Okay. So we're here to just learn a little bit about the story, about your story, about you as a person, and some of the unique experiences you had, specifically what that newspaper article is about, and you being in the military and witnessing the atomic bomb and stuff. So if you could just start by telling us that story, we'd just like to hear how that came about and what you witnessed and those kind of things.
Well, I was working down at the asphalt co-op, and I got my notice to go to the Army. We're going down on maneuvers down to Nevada. Got the convoys all out, all their company, and drove all the way down there. And when camped in old vacant Army bases and stuff like that overnight, and got down there and drove in there, and it said testing site. And then we went in where they tested atomic bombs. And it was just like a town. Street numbers and everything, but it was all tents. And it covered quite a bit of ground. And then we got in there, and then they had light. It was red all the time. It always flashed red. And then it turned blue. And then they said, well, we got to go. And it was real early in the morning. And a blimp came over the night before. And then we all got in. We called them cattle trucks. They were just semis with a bench on both sides. They hauled us out there, I don't know how far. And then we were 13 miles, they said, from this blimp was floating up there then. And then they blew the first atomic bomb that I seen. And they said, everybody brace themselves. Well, some guys didn't. They fell down, cut their heads on rifles and stuff. Had to go to the hospital. Well, then we went back.
Well, here, tell them about your arms. Well, you had to put your arms over.
Oh, yeah. They said turn your back, cover your eyes like this, and don't look around till after we tell you. Well, geez, that thing went off. You could see the light turn backwards, and then. The reason they said brace yourself, well, here come that gush of wind, and that's what knocked them guys down. They weren't braced no good enough. And then we went back, and then the next time they put us out there again and moved us closer. I don't know how close, but then we were in a trench. And then you get down in the trench, and you put your head against the bank facing the bomb, and put your arm up over your eyes, and then when that would go off, same thing. You could see all the light, and you had to stay down in that trench. And that gush come over there, and it just shook the ground like it was turning upside down. And then they say, then we could look up. And all you seen was a big, it looked like a big ball of fire. And it would go up towards the sky, and it was real. They always did it real early in the morning on a perfectly clear day when the wind was in the southwest, so it blew the fallout away from California. And and then we would watch it, and as it went up, it would turn into it just like a donut, and it was all turning, circling like this, just whirling, and it picked everything up off the ground. The blimp was gone, and then it would go up, and then it would disappear like just a cloudy, few clouds in a clear sky, and then they drift off to the northeast. And then after that was over, then haul us back. Well, I was in an engineer platoon of the infantry, and then we kept testing them. They'd move us closer, all the time closer. Well, then finally we were going for the big one. It was equal to 80,000 tons. The first one was equal to 30,000. I think the one they set off in Japan was 12,000. And then we laid minefields out, and there was going to be a test. And I didn't know it. They didn't tell you nothing. I was supposed to get injured in that and hauled in on a helicopter, on the side of a helicopter on a stretcher, like I was hurt. But the wind changed direction, and we had to get out of there. And we was only 2 miles from them. But we were right underneath them. We was in like the 4 miles and then 3 miles. And you could look right, and they give us all a spade. And then when the shake could come, it comes so hard, it was sandy ground, it'd cave it shut in some places. And then we'd have to dig the next guy out to us. You were always under arm's reach.
The guy right next to you, you had to dig him out, huh?
And then you had to dig the guy out next to you if he caved in.
Wow.
So when you went down there for the first one, did they tell you you're going to witness an atomic bomb?
Not when we went down.
But like that first day they drove you out, and when they told you to brace yourselves, did they tell you what you were bracing yourself from at that point?
Well, no, we knew they were going to set, but they said brace yourself, but I really didn't know that it was going to be an atomic bomb.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they knew what happened with an atomic bomb because they did it in Japan, you know, so.
Well, they did it, sure. Well, then they tested them after that, but they never.
They were probably trying to see how close they could drop them to their forces and still have them be okay, right?
I would guess that's what they were doing.
So once you found out that you were you were a human test subject for that.
Guinea pig.
A guinea pig. Was there ever any dissension among the people? Did people get mad and like, you know?
No, nobody.
Do you think you're in danger though, or?
Well, nobody really knew what the atomic bomb would do.
Yeah.
Nobody knew it.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into your health thing and stuff, Roy, I want you to tell me, you told me once how they used to set up the houses. They'd actually construct houses,
well,
put dummies at the kitchen
They
tables.
would line machinery up around there. Any type of machinery, caterpillars, cars, pickups, any type of machinery, big air compressors and small stuff, and they would have that in different miles away, you know, and they built brand new houses, and they would set tables just like a dinner table. The houses had cupboards in it. You could have lived in one, but there was no water hooked up in them. And they had dummies sitting around the table to see what it would do to each one. And the ones close just burned up. And then farther out, and that machinery, it just rolled it. and everything, when we could look up, when we got close, as far as it was all sagebrush. It was out in the desert. And that would be just solid after that went off. And we could look up, it would be just solid fire. Like, it wasn't really fire, but it was all that sagebrush had already burnt, but was standing yet, and it was just the ashes, orange ashes standing up. When we'd come out of the trench, if you kicked one, it would fall down, and it was ashes.